So we return to the Guild Wars graveyard. Now today, I'm going to be showing you guys some old stuff that once upon a time was in the game, was going to be in the game, but unfortunately is now unobtainable for some reason. And I figured I'd dedicate a whole other part just to equipment that, in theory, you could be using. That includes full armor sets and various weapons that unfortunately are completely unobtainable and not necessarily through design. So there are some things in the game that you can't get anymore, but that was the idea. So for example, when the first Winter's Day came round, there was a nice like toy bag you could get if you were PvPing, but that was specifically for that winter, and the idea is people can't have it. On the first few days of Guild Wars 2's launch, there was like a Guild Wars 2 cap, like baseball hat that you could get. And again, the idea there is that people aren't meant to be able to return with that. The weird thing about the baseball hat is if you held on to it for a few years, you could eventually convert it into a tonic. And so some people have that tonic. I unfortunately got rid of my hat, so I don't think I do. And many of us are in that position, and you know, you can feel a little bit tricked there. But that's not the kind of stuff I really want to run through here today. We're going to look at stuff that kind of just got broken, and so now you can't have it. Starting off with some armors. So would you believe it that there are 3 full armor sets in the game that you can't have? Starting off, and I guess I'll paste these into local chat here for everybody to have a look at, with the Guild Archmage stuff. So here, I will preview it all for you. You'll have to excuse my Necromancer's heavy, like, green dyes, don't worry, and dark black dyes. I'll show you guys some screenshots from the wiki as well. But so, this armor set here, you know, it says on mouse over, it doesn't say skin locked because these actually kind of predate that. But what this is an armor set that will portray your guild emblem on the various pieces. So here you can see on my chest is this this book with the sun. That is the Spud Club's emblem. If I swap to, say, my personal guild for just banking, you'll see that it actually changed now, and what that actually is a monkey. Very recently they added a cape that lets you print the guild emblem on the cape, and that was how things were in Guild Wars 1. Looks really good, and you can play with this feature to quite a surprising degree. There's a lot of different icons and a lot of different backgrounds and things that you can go for. I guess I won't just save my changes. This is actually one of my favorite features of the game, just how many icons and amazing things that there are you can set up. And well, this was an armor set that you could print that onto your actual Fashion Wars. And personally, I know how much people really like Fashion Wars. I think that this could have been really, really, really huge for the game. So here's the thing. These sets were obtainable for a while, I think. But then their NPCs have kind of been thrown away, so you can't get them anymore. I think they got lost in all of the transition between the core guild systems and the Heart of Thorns revamps and, you know, upgrades, where suddenly now we weren't visiting guild NPCs out in the hometowns. We were going to the guild headquarters, and a lot of items just never came through, or the guild hall itself once you've actually gone to that. But look at all these icons. Look at all of this customization that's available here. So on the wiki as well, I'll show you guys here's an image of it on various other race combos. These are some great images from the wiki, which really you guys have to thank for this series, to be honest, because it's the wiki that actually, if you dig through long enough, has compiled a lot of this stuff. So yeah, I mean, look at this. There's even a choir, dancing choir with maracas. When did they add this? With POF, I guess, including the pyramid and so on. I guess we can look forward to this in upcoming expansions too. So yeah, unavailable, unfortunately. The other nice thing, by the way, is people are used to having only like 4 die channels for their chest piece. Well, if you pick the chest piece and go for a nice big image, well, you kind of get the 4 die channels for the piece itself, and you get another 3 channels to mess with the actual emblem itself, which is, you know, so you can mess with the background, you can mess with the color of the rose in 2 different ways here, for example, or with any other icon. I really like this. I love it. I mean, look, you can even have underwear. I like this about the guild cape as well. It'd be cool to have the rest of it. There is the guild weapon set, which does the same, so you can have the logo on your weapon, on your armor, and your cape in theory, except the armor is not available. This is also true, by the way, for what it's worth, with the heavy. So another one of the armor sets is over on heavy. Now, heavy's weird in that there's only 3 pieces. Meanwhile, all the others had lots more. So here's heavy. Now we're looking at the guild defenders. I don't know why there's no helmet, gloves, or boots. That's very weird to me, very peculiar. You'll also, if you're super into Fashion Wars, which I'm totally not, but if you're super into Fashion Wars, you might notice this looks a little bit similar to some armor that is in-game. All 3 of these guild sets do bear a resemblance to a previously existing regular armor set. But they do have model tweaks. Proportionally, they are different. And, of course, crucially, they do also have the emblem. There's also one on my back. You can't see it because of my cape here. But, yeah, so, and then finally, you guessed it, well, we can have a medium set too. The medium set, once again, goes up to 6 pieces. So this is the Watchman stuff. So there's the face guard. There's the shoulders. Just trying to click through all my things here. There you have it. I really like these icons too. Yeah, face guard, shoulder guards, chest guard, gloves, leggings, and boots. And there you have it. It's a trench coat, but, you know, that's par for the course for a lot of these early medium skins. This actually feels kind of heavy in a lot of ways as well. And, of course, I got my little monkey on the front as well every single time. Or my representation of Spud. It's really interesting thinking of a world where World versus World had been the pure emphasis for the studio. And guilds and alliance type stuff had been in years ago. And this was, like, beginner armor or good, decent starter stat selectable stuff. So lots of people were bearing the emblem of their group. But unfortunately, guys, you can't get it. Really sorry to say. So the next thing I want to talk about is weapons. Now, there are a lot of weapons, obviously in-game, that have been successfully implemented, but have slipped through the cracks, and mostly because of PvP. Now, some of us who go kind of crazy on this game are well familiar with these. I'm sort of in that position. As someone that was trying to get every single skin in the game, I spent a lot of time looking at my vault. So particularly, I was focusing on getting like all of the foci here. There are holes, a lot of them are available to me, but sometimes you'll find a hole that it's like, how do I even get this? Here's a good example. For example, if we go to spears, there's this slot down here, the worn Voltaic spear. We may as well open on this. This one feels pretty special to me all the time. It's there in the wardrobe, in the vaults. You can't get this skin, guys. You've never been able to get this skin. So what this actually is a reference to a very end-gamey weapon in Guild Wars 1. For Guild Wars 1, most spellcasters would dedicate in one of their weapon slots a spear and shield combo. And what this would allow them to be is a little bit tankier when they start taking damage. You can quickly swap your shield on, and maybe if you are a guy that uses adrenaline, you want to gain a little bit of adrenaline from range, you can throw spears at the same time while you're at it. So spears were nearly all over the place for really dedicated Guild Wars 1 players, and the flashiest, most beautiful spear in the original game was called the Voltaic spear. It was amazing. ArenaNet knew that, and so it came in with Eye of the North. Everyone was crazy about it. So when Guild Wars 2 came out, they did new versions of the Voltaic spear. Spears obviously now being underwater weapons, so there's a lot of prestige that's been lost there, I suppose. There is kind of a replica of the Voltaic spear, just way less flashy and with less animations. There was also this one, the worn Voltaic spear. And you've got to remember, the idea that one weapon would have multiple versions was a bit of a novelty at launch. Nowadays, we have precursor collections where you slowly, gradually build stuff up, and you might not bat an eye at the idea, but for launch, that was cool. And this has been here since launch. Has anyone ever collected it? No. So for a lot of the weapons that I'm going to be going through in a second, it seems they came from PvP. And when they revamped PvP, everything broke. But this, we don't even know that. It might have been a PvP reward that ended up broken, or it might have been something else. Maybe it's even been available for all these years. But if you search on efficiency and stuff, no one has it. It doesn't come out of guaranteed wardrobe unlockers and stuff, as far as I know. So it's just kind of sitting here. And it is a cool spear, even if it's, you know, the less flashy version of a Prestige original game skin. And to tell you the truth, the supposedly flashy version of this, which is acquirable, doesn't even look that good in Guild Wars 2. It's a shame. ArenaNet should do something about that. But hey. So let's show some more off. The next skin I have to show you guys is this, the Dark Moon Shield. Now, this is very similar to another shield in the game. Maybe it's the Bramble Shield, but this guy has a different color to it and actually has a special effect. Again, this has been here since vanilla, but if I spin my character around, can you see this mist? That actually is a trail that will follow you as you travel. This is funny because I've actually owned this skin before. And it did look good at launch. A lot more animations were refined back then. So the novelty of having like this smoky trail follow you as you traveled around was pretty cool. Obviously, it's a shape that you, as a Sylvari player, will be familiar with, hopefully. It appears in concept art if you pick the Shield of the Moon, and in the original cutscene, there's a whole bit dedicated to this. Maybe if you guys are curious, you can make a new Sylvari character after watching my video here. You'll see this up in the main cutscene for Sylvari. But it was only available in PvP. There used to be a whole system whereby as you ranked up through the animals in PvP, you unlocked new reward chests, and by breaking those PvP weapons down, you could roll them in the forge for new skins. And the infrastructure was very different in that PvP skins were all unique and separate in PvP than how things were in core Tyria. Eventually, around 2013, ArenaNet decided that they didn't want 2 full sets of item progression in the game. I guess their original idea was that they didn't want someone getting really flashy stuff in PvE, then bringing it to PvP where it meant nothing. Just because you're good at running a dungeon doesn't mean you're good at winning tournaments, right? So they wanted that, you know, to be separate. I actually agree with that. Eventually they went back on the idea. They just integrated everything. I think they thought they were losing too much player population because people couldn't look shiny and flashy immediately when they got into the format, which is such a sad thing to bow down to. But hey, when they combined the 2 systems, all the PvP specific stuff went away. And that included this, the Dark Moon Shield, which had only been put there. I think there's 2 mistakes here. 1, when they merged the system, they didn't pay enough attention to skins like this. And 2, that when the game originally came out, they didn't achieve complete parity. As in, this probably should have had a PvE equivalent. It probably should have always had. And even to this day, it probably should have. I don't think there should have been complete parity. It would have been nice for PvP to have had some unique stuff and PvE to have some unique stuff. But overall, you know, this is not an ultra shiny thing. It was nothing of particular note, and yet there was no parity. So we're going to see a lot of stuff that falls under that umbrella here. Some of it even I did manage to acquire as I was a PvP player back in the day. In particular, wow, look at how much detail is there. That actually comes up as a material when I mouse over it. How weird is that? 0 out of 2,000 in material storage. That is very strange. So next we got the Legionnaire Harpoon. So this is very similar to a char weapon. The Legionnaire Spear. Super close, but it is different. It's its own skin. Why are there 2 versions, and why was this one only from PvP? Well, I'm guessing it's because of the discussion we had in the first part of the Guild Wars Graveyard, that they were originally going to have pole arms, and this was probably going to be some kind of flashy char pole arm. Then when they removed them, I'll bet they tweaked the model to make it a proper spear, called it the Legionnaire Spear. This was kicking around in the files, and then they accidentally implemented it as the PvP reward or something. Similar situation here as well with the Flame Harpoon. This is slightly different to the Flame Spear, but the same kind of thing. A similar story over here with the Tribal Trident, I believe, though I don't know the name of the skin that this is actually close to. Some of you guys who are crazy about Fashion Wars will know. I like the spikes on this one. I can really imagine smashing someone and doing some damage on this one, especially these ornate blades up the top. But yeah, this is not available. It does bring my mind with these ones particularly how important it is to get these if there are only slight tweaks on skins we already have. But in terms of chronicling everything, there they are. Here's a really interesting one. I think a lot of players these days going for 100% wardrobe completion are familiar with. So this is the Hawk Trident. And as I mouse over this one, you'll actually see it does say skin locked for me. So over in Ebonhawk, and in fact I can show you guys this. This is a real stinger for what it's worth. Anyone going for 100% in Guild Wars. Over in Ebonhawk, there are cultural weapons. There's cultural weapons for all the 5 main races, but Ebonhawk got a full set too. It didn't get a set of cultural armor for what it's worth. I have a feeling that the devs might have, in early design, wanted to give them cultural armor because of the whole story of the fallen angels and the darker side of the Seraph, but you can kind of accomplish that through dyes. So as we run through... Where is he? Is he this guy? No, not that lady. Let's see. I'm sure it's somewhere along here. Oh, there, we're just a little bit further up the road. So here they are, cultural weapons. All 3 tiers have the same skins, but they're of different strength, okay? So the Ebon Vanguard Shortbow, tier 1, is a level 40 item. Over here, it's the same thing. It's just level 60, and then finally there's a max level one. So they kind of dropped the ball here, I guess, because you don't get 3. But anyway, full set of Ebon Vanguard stuff. Pretty nice, right? And down here, you'll even see the Trident listed, which says skin unlocked for me. But that is not the same Trident. We have the other weapons. They're all fully implemented, but the Trident isn't. It's so arbitrary. Why is it not on the list, ArenaNet? For years, it's never been on the list. This, to me... And there's nothing else that looks like this. It fits the set perfectly, for what it's worth, just so that you guys know. They're all, you know, themed in this exact way. This, to me, is one of the worst ones, because this really is as simple as, okay, can the vendor list be updated, please, at any point in 8 years since 2012? And it hasn't been. So, this guy will appear in your wardrobe, and it's just kind of lingering there. What a shame. Crazy stuff, but they have it. Next, oh, and early PvP players, I think, could get that one, yes. In fact, if you look in my chat box, you'll see when they've got PvP in parentheses, you can kind of get a sense for it. Meanwhile, the Voltaic spear didn't necessarily. Just a quick edit here for you guys. I'll actually preview the supposed trident that is on the list. Here's how this one looks. Obviously, totally different. I actually prefer the look of the trident that is available, to tell you the truth. But it is not the same as the other trident that is being listed in the data files. There's all kinds of weird stuff here because the spear in this is called the harpoon, and the harpoon gun is called the spear gun. So I have a feeling that they just kind of got a lot of wires crossed when they were implementing the underwater stuff here. I don't know. Fix it, ArenaNet. Come on. I think the reason why this has resisted bug fixes in the past is someone might submit a bug saying, hey, the trident's not on the list, and then some dev will look and say, no, it is. I can see it. It's right there. And then think case closed. But there is a problem. There is a missing skin. Next, we have the Valley Harpoon Gun. Slight variation on the Crichton Spear Gun. I can't really explain why they did two slight variations on this, as that obviously has nothing to do with the polearm story, but it is a thing. Back to spears, we have the makeshift spear down here. Again, appearing as storage. That's very strange. And again, he's kind of on one side. This is different to the bandit spear. Maybe the bandit weapon set was once going to be called the makeshift weapon set. But again, it's slightly different. Again, I think it's just a little bit more polearmy. We have two here, and funnily enough, it was the existence of these that inspired me to make this part of the graveyard. One of you guys in the comments of the original part talked about these. So here we have the primitive pike. Now, what's really weird about this? Okay, so this is a spear, and it's very flashy. It's got lots of, in terms of, you know, it's got lots of details to its model. So this you would only get underwater. There is actually another version of it called the primitive pillar. Same skin, but this time it's a staff. So one of you guys really liked this skin. You thought it looked very good for your set, you know, whatever you were doing with your fashion. And unfortunately, you came to realize it's unavailable. So that's true. The staff version, as you can see here, does not have the PvP tag on it. But the pike particularly was available in the old PvP crafting system. And was not brought over, was never available in PvE. So yeah, it's kind of a weird item, isn't it? I actually have some sets that I think this would complement quite well as well. And so yeah, when I got into looking about that, is when I went down the rabbit hole on all of these ones. And I really do think by the time we're done with this video, guys, we will have seen every skin. And in fact, this is the last one right here. So this is the Bramble Harpoon Gun. And you'll see again, this one is called the Warden Harpoon Gun. Similar situation, I guess, to this Ebonhawk thing. And it's actually, again, really ornate, really detailed. I think the underwater stuff I never really stop and admire because the animations down there are so wild and crazy and there's just so much movement. But it's unavailable. What's kind of funny about this one is it was only available to players at max rank. Now, that was the dragon rank. Everyone nowadays is dragon rank because when the devs merged the systems, they also decided that it was taking people too long to get ranks and removed one of the main incentives for playing. They made so many mistakes with that update, in my opinion. In any case, that meant everybody became a dragon, but at that point, the crafting system had gone away. When they made the change, there were maybe only like 10 people across all of Guild Wars 2 who'd actually got dragon. Maybe it was less than that. It was really a very small number of people who were legitimate dragons. And this was months and months, over a year, like 2 years after release. Took a lot of work. And did any of them craft this thing? Well, we don't know. I mean, maybe they did, but I don't think they were on efficiency. And the idea that they'd unlock the skin and stuff, who can say? So there you have it. This one is also kind of rare, but also should just be integrated into the obvious place where it should be with all the other Warden weapons out in the Grove. I think there is another Warden Harpoon Gun. This one is it's called the Warden Spear Gun, and that's what's on the vendor in the Grove. But this one is a slight alteration with a different name. I do want to point out one final thing, and it's related to where I started this video. Back around when Eye of the North came out in May of this year, there was a bug with a new achievement called the Vision of Equipment, asking you to craft the exotic banner of Commander from Corner, which is just all very strange and doesn't actually trigger, really. And what that would mean is, I guess, you could return to Corner, speak with your fangirl, the herald that had been talking to you so much during the core story, Lady Camilla here. And in theory, she should sell it. But she doesn't. She still just sells a recipe here. And this is unavailable. Look at this. It's locked. This came into the game a few months ago. Now, unlike most stuff on the Guild Wars graveyard, what I'm talking about is stuff that's lasted nearly a decade. Like, I'm talking about proper Guild Wars 2 history that's been in place for years and years and years and years. This one is a very recent bug and might actually get removed or fixed up soon, because they are good about new stuff and new issues that come in. So we'll see on that one. But there you have it. The Vision of Equipment did appear here, but you can't grab it. So that's it for the graveyard today. I think I've gone through all equipable skins, so if that is your jam, between this part and the previous ones, we're kind of caught up. However, on the next part, I do have some still very interesting stuff I want to get to, and that is, as I've already alluded to, skills, masteries, and some really weird upgrade components that mean as you attack, you automatically trigger other skills, in a sense. We'll get to that in very soon. So thanks, guys. Hope you enjoy. Oh, and I've got a Guild War upgrade I wanted to talk to you guys about. So thank you all. I hope you're still enjoying the graveyard, and I'll see you next time. Does anyone listen this late into the end slate? The music's really good here.